There's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear. So it's conceivable. Although, as I sit here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else.
Truly scum-worthy commentary. A piece of glass. He has been so lambasted for that comment that in a Friday night drop, according to the AP, the FBI said, oops, sorry, yeah, President Trump was struck by a bullet or a fragment of a bullet, not a piece of glass. Is the agency redeemable? What do we do with the DOJ? Let's ask two of your favorite guests, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Joe diGenova, and eminence grise, formerly of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Victoria Toensing. Welcome, both of you, to Rob Schmitt Tonight.
Great to be with you.
Firstly, as an individual who was, intimately privy to the security arrangements for the Congress when you were working in D.C., how is it that we are almost 2 weeks after an assassination attempt on the leader of the opposition, and we haven't had a press briefing from either the Secret Service, the FBI, or the DOJ, Joe? How does that happen?
It doesn't. It only happens when you have utter failure and lack of leadership. The Secret Service has become really so subpar that what their conduct is indefensible. What happened in Butler never should have happened. Everybody knows it. It was a total collapse of security protocols. It was catastrophic in nature, and they are very, very lucky that we do not have a dead former president. That is why, by the way, the comment by Christopher Wray about whether or not it was a bullet was so disgusting. The notion that he would try to demean what had happened to President Trump, and that is exactly what it was. It was an effort on his part because he's so clumsy, even though he thinks he's so slick. He just had to put a zinger in against President Trump. But the FBI now is irredeemable. By the way, if you looked at all those guys that were standing behind him, all white males, all tall guys, all little punks, just like he is. Look at them. Look at that bunch.
Yeah, pathetic. Victoria, have you ever seen the like of such a failure on the one hand by an agency that had one job to make sure President Trump wasn't shot, and then the response or lack of response from the DOJ and the FBI?
No, it's terrible. Let me just say, Seb, that a fish rots from the head down. And this FBI is a rotten fish because of Christopher Wray. And we've worked with the FBI for years, and I have your same feeling. I'm sad, but I'm mad. I'm really mad. Joe and Chris Wray's been like this for years. Joe and I had an experience with him where we had a client and witnesses came to us very upset because an unethical U.S. attorney was threatening to expose embarrassing things about them unless they said what he wanted them to before a grand jury. So we took the information, went to Chris Wray, who was then Assistant Attorney General at the Justice Department, told them all the information, gave them the names of the witnesses, and he didn't do squat. Not squat. He didn't interview one of them. So he buries unethical behavior by the FBI. Oh, unless you're a whistleblower, and then he retaliates and takes away your clearance and your salary.
Joe, we've got a minute left. The FBI has 3 core missions: counterintelligence, counterterrorism, and criminal investigations. My suggestion is hive those missions off to other agencies like the Marshals or DOD. What's your suggestion?
I think that is a possibility, but the first thing we have to do is get rid of Chris Wray. He must be replaced. I pray that Donald Trump is elected president, and on Inauguration Day, he fires Christopher Wray and replaces him with a superb individual. That will not be hard to do. There are lots of great law enforcement people that would want that job and do a great job, but there has to be a house cleaning on the 7th floor at the FBI.
We suggested Ray Kelly back in the day.
Oh, that's a good idea. Greg's dad could be a great idea, or Rudy Giuliani.
Even
God
now,
bless you both.